Hello, my name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr., and I was born July 4th, 1986. Today I want to talk about something in the book of Jeremiah. That there's an interesting thing that I heard the other day, that the concept of the Bible isn't in chronological order, that it's just put in place and it's just scrambled. I think that someone would say that if you've never actually read it, front to back. Because in reality, when you really read it, it really gives a good idea of what's going on, just ruler after ruler, kingdom after kingdom, peoples after peoples. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. And it keeps going in a way that is super fascinating, because at first, like before, I say at first, but I say there's parts in this. There's three good parts that I just really have come to realize when I just keep reading and rereading. That there's a part on how God communicates us to the book of Job, before the book of Psalms, before the book of Proverbs, before the book of Ecclesiastes. Then after that, it goes into, I think it's right away, the book of Isaiah. Yeah, the book of Isaiah. So that's a whole part before book of Isaiah, or book of Job is the last part. Before the Proverbs, before the Psalms. And then after that, there's the second part where it goes into the book of Isaiah, and then it goes all the way to what I would say is the Old Testament. And God's communicating to us. He's showing us another way that he's able to communicate to us. He's showing us another way to be able to get to the people, and how he's been able to try to get to the people. He's giving more into the more intimate relationship that he has with the prophet, on how and what they're even having to deal with to be able to communicate to the people, and how the people are treating them. We're in the first half, or the first third, the first portion. It's more of God speaking a word, and then just getting everybody, and kind of just in a way of seeing the idea of the bigger picture, the everybody, as opposed to what the actual prophet is having to go through. Like what actually Moses is dealing with on his day-to-day, week-to-week, what his thoughts are like. How God's talking to him, and how he's communicating what it is that he's got going on. And then the middle portion gets into God and how he is with the prophet. And then the end gets into how God is with every single one of us. It's no longer just a specific prophet, a specific person. And that happens, and it's foreseen and it's foresaid in this book right here for 100% fact, that it explains what's going to happen in the future, as opposed to how it is now. And it explains what has happened to change from where we were to where it is then to where we're about to go to. And it's something that is just super easy to be able to understand. So today I'm going to have to do a little bit of reading, because it's not something that I could just hit you with a Bible verse and you got the information. This is something that you've got to read it to be able to understand it. You got to keep on listening to it. You got to study it. You're not studying in a way of like this verse. Just read the text and then just soak in it for a little bit. And soak in it, because there's something that God is looking for from us. He's not looking for us to just sit around and do nothing. He's not looking for us to even go around and do all kinds of work all day long. He's looking for us to obey him and to live by his commands. That's what he's looking for. And it's almost like the test of the challenge of where we're going to go next is what we do now. And it comes down to the fact of, I don't know why, to me, I just think of it like this. I think of it like this. If I can't pay attention to instructions now, why would you give me greater detailed instructions to do later? Why would you put me in a position where I can fail, where I'm going to fail, because I don't know how to pay attention to the directions and instructions right now? So it's like this may seem weird, because we live today, but it seems like a long time. Where I'm going to say it, I'm 37 years old today, and I still can't believe that. It's still wild to me. And I know that someone that's 88 years old today is going to say that same thing. Like, I can't believe that's already gone. Like 37 years is gone, and I can never get it back. It's just disappeared. It's fantastic when you're living. You know, when you're 13 years old and 15 years old, you're just like, I'm just so young. I got all this time. I got this, and days are going so slow, and what's happening? Where I'll say, as soon as I moved into the 30s, I realized like year. I was like, I remember when I was 30. Now it's 7. Now I'm like headed to 40. And it's an interesting thing, because this really isn't that a lot of time. It really isn't when you really think about it in the overall sense of what's going on. So our time here on earth is extremely limited. It's very, very short. It's very, very small. And that's why for me, I can say what I'm going to say next is our very, very short, our very, very small time that we have on this planet. If we can't do the simple thing of just understanding the instructions on how to be able to do what it is that we need to do on this planet, what we're here for, why are we going to be going to the next place? Why are we going to be doing the next step, as opposed to just coming right back to the same old step again? Figuring out how to be able to just understand what it is that we're supposed to do. That we cannot move to step 2 unless we complete step 1. And it's unfortunate today that most of us are not completing step 1, because there's a very interesting thing that goes on this planet, that there's some negative forces that are trying to strip everyone away from going to the second step. As if the second step is something that is going to be able to, I don't know what it is, but that's what makes me kind of, in my heart, just want to dig deep and try even harder to figure out what that second step is, knowing that there's something on this planet that does not want us to go next, because it does everything in its power to get us to go away. It does everything in its power to just make sure that we are always failing, stumbling, fumbling. It does everything in its power to make sure that we forget everything that God is looking for from us. It does everything in its power to make us do different things, to think that that is God. That, yeah, that is God. That's the God of the planet. That is the God that created this. Keep praying, keep worshiping, keep doing what you're doing. Keep sacrificing to that. It's doing everything to make sure that we do not pay attention to the one true God. So when I know that and understand that and read about that, it just makes me really, really want to be even more obedient to figure out what's next. Because you're trying so hard to make sure that I can't get there. And making sure that I can't get there is that's what we are as people. That, to me, it's the opposite effect of what it is that I read a lot of how we are in this book, where we're a stiff-necked person, a person that's just always on the pushback, a person that's always on the I'm going to do whatever I want to do. That sometimes when you hear some information, when your mom says, don't go over there and do that, and the first thing that we do as a people is go ahead and go over there and do that, that's something that is in the opposite effect of my life today. That God says, don't go over and do that. I'm like, okay, because I want to go over there and do that with you instead. I want to be able to hang out with you instead. I want to be able to do something greater with you instead. I'll listen to what you have to say. And it's something that more and more of us should really start to get in our hearts, to really start to understand who God is, to be able to really, really appreciate what he's done for us and what he's going to continue to keep on doing for us. So right here in the book of Jeremiah in the 7th chapter, I just want to read something, because this is something that, if you're confused, I'm going to keep saying the same thing over and over again, as many times as I possibly can. Every single instance that I see this being said in this Bible, I'm going to talk about it. And then once I finish all that, I'm going to start talking about how they all work together. And then once I've finished that, I'm going to continue to keep talking about different ones and just going further and further into detail to it. And that's something that I know that for a fact, looking at the size of this and the meanings behind this and everything behind this and how many times it's said in this, I have a lifetime's worth of information to talk about. And so in Jeremiah chapter 7, the 22nd verse, so I want to read this because this is just straightforward. It's very, very straightforward. And then the next part that I'm going to read is, or the third part that I'll read is very, very straightforward of what's to come, as opposed to where we are now. So that comes to where we are today. But right here it says, for when I brought your ancestors out of Egypt and spoke to them, I did not just give them commands about burnt offerings and sacrifices, but I gave them this command: obey me, and I will be your God. You will be my people. Walk in obedience with all I command you, and you will go well with you. But they did not listen or pay attention. Instead, they followed their stubborn inclinations for their evil hearts. They went backwards and not forward. For the time your ancestors left Egypt until now, day after day, again and again, I sent you my servants, the prophets, but they did not listen or pay attention to me. They were stiff-necked and did more evil than their ancestors. When you tell them all of this, they will not listen to you. When you call on them, they will not answer. Therefore I say to them, this is a nation that has not obeyed the Lord, its God, or responded to correction. This is something that's very interesting, because the whole concept of what I would say the 3 parts of this Bible really hit with, this is one of the parts where God is sending prophet after prophet after prophet, all of these people to come to speak to the people, all of these people, and he does tests with them. He says something, he brings a vision to them, and then he says, what'd you see? And they'll have to repeat what he said. And they're like, okay, that's what I said. And then he'll bring them another vision, and they're like, okay, yep, that's exactly what's going on here. So that's the way that God is able to communicate to us, to certain prophets at that time, because not everybody was able to hear, not everybody was able to know, not everybody had the Spirit of God inside of them. God put himself in specific people, and then he would bring those people to the masses of people. So it would be in an essence of something like this here today. God put his Spirit inside of me here today, and no one else was able to hear him. No one else was able to understand him. No, everyone just saw the miracle. They saw it with their eyes, but they couldn't feel it. It wasn't in them. So God gave that to me. Now, I'm the person that's going to go to the United States of America and go talk to every single person. I'm going to go do all my street ministry and go yelling at everybody. You need to repent. You need to repent, and just screaming at everyone, telling them what you need to do. And then I have to figure out how to be able to get you to just understand what I'm saying and come along with what I'm saying. Because every single prophet is saying to them, hey, you better do this or some savageness is about to come. Some crazy madness is going to come. Something that you're going to wish never ever happened is about to come if you don't come along with what I'm saying. So these prophets were going around doing that. And then what happened to pretty much every single prophet? They would just kill them, stone them, just burn them. They would just kick them out. In most cases, they were dead men walking. And they had to have it in them to not speak what they wanted to speak, but speak what God would speak. And they had to have it in them to be very, very disciplined to do such a thing. Because when they would run into that sticky situation, when they got locked up, they got to be able to say the right words in reality to be able to make sure that they don't kill them. Because God doesn't want them to kill them. He's trying to figure out how to be able to get his message across. But God knows how the people are. They don't want to listen. They don't want to pay attention. They don't care. They don't want to do anything. It just sounds like today to me that even though we all have it in us, we don't want to listen. We don't want to hear. We don't want to pay attention. We want to just push it off to the side. And every single time these prophets were coming, they were saying, like he's saying, there's some tragedy coming because God's got to move, because he's got to, in reality, move the people that do believe in. He's not going to allow the people that he's oppressed, the people that he had to put in, I would say, like timeout restriction in reality. He says, I'm going to come back and get you. I know you did wrong, but I know I hear you calling me again to get closer to me. So then he's got to give them a place to be and a place to be able to prosper. So the prophets are coming into these places and explaining to everyone, what does he need to do? And everyone just kill him. So that's why in reality, there's so many of these prophets that are listed here. So we got Jeremiah, Ezekiel, we go to Daniel, Amos, Zephaniah, Zechariah. We got all these prophets here, Malachi, all these prophets that were coming in, Habakkuk, how do you say that one? Joel, all these prophets were coming. These are all the stories of each of those prophets that God was sending to the people to get them to understand, like, to just pay attention to me, because I don't want the tragedy to happen to you. I don't want the maddening, the chaos to happen to you. I want you to be able to come here and come along and be able to obey Jesus, understand him, go by what it is that he's looking for, so that you can have that peace that you're looking for in life. And I go to Jeremiah 9 in the 12th verse, and it says, who is wise enough to understand this? Who has been instructed by the Lord and can explain it? Why has a land been ruined and laid waste like a desert that no one can cross? The Lord said, it is because they have forsaken my law, which I have set before them. They have not obeyed me or followed my law. Instead, they followed their stubbornness of their hearts. They followed the Baals, and as their ancestors taught them. Therefore, that is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. See, I will make these people eat bitter food and drink poisoned water. I will scatter them among the nations, and neither they nor their ancestors have known. And I will pursue them with a sword until I have made an end to them. So this is where it gets to the point of, this is what these people are saying. So the prophets are saying to the people. He's saying, this is what God's needing, this is what God's wanting, this is what God's about to do. And he's saying it to you. The same way there's a lot of people stepping up in front of these cameras and speaking on YouTube and speaking on the streets and going everywhere trying to help people out. I'm not trying to tell you where to go, what to go, how to be, and what to do. He's just giving recommendations. Giving a recommendation of stating, do you want to live or do you not want to live? Do you want to be free or do you not want to be free? Do you want to be saved or you do not want to be saved? And in reality, I don't know what it is with me, but when I watch a lot of these street performing guys, it's all jokes when God is still not putting his plan in motion. Like, for instance, when every time he's put his plan in motion in every single one of these stories, when it comes real. And then the people realize, like, that prophet was real. That guy was real. He was speaking real knowledge. When the reality hits, when the swords actually start flying, when the people actually start passing away, when the maddening really starts happening, that God is really starting to move some people, then the people, they stop and look, they said, like, wow, we messed up. We should have listened to that person. But yet we pushed them away, but yet we even killed them. And now we're here struggling, hurting, damaged, destroyed, and dying. And now we're losing everything that we thought we had and wanted. And now we're Oreo down, Johnny down. And now we're sitting out here and in this absolute disastrous state. It's funny that my cows are sitting right on the fence, and this dog, my neighbor's dog, comes running up, And she's just sitting there like, I don't care. You could bark in my face. I am not moving. That's fascinating. Hey, Oreo, get down. That's fascinating because that's exactly what goes on with these street performers that I see. People are literally right there in your face telling you, hey, I need you to move. I need you to move. I need you to move. You better move. You better move. You better move. But you're just sitting there nice, fat, lazy, and satisfied like, I'm good. I'm not going there. I'm not doing nothing. I don't care what you do. I don't even care if you bite me. I don't care. I'm not moving. And it's very interesting because you're in that mindset because God's not moving yet. But when he actually does, imagine a scenario where you're sitting out there. Interesting that this hot wind picked up right now. Interesting that it would be fascinating when God does actually start moving, things that do start to happen. Now imagine a person, there's a street performer going on and the guy's just saying, you know, Jesus, he's here to help you. God's here to help you. You're going to be good to go if you pay attention to him. And then that person just looks at him, laughs in his face and says, what is your God going to do? And then that person literally just drops dead instantly. And everyone around is going to look and see that and say like, wow, that's fantastic. Like, what the heck just happened there? That is shocking. When it happens once, it's like, oh, that whatever. But then when the next person stands up and says, that God and this, and that person drops dead. Then the next person drops dead. Then the next person drops dead. And everyone just starts drop dead. It says that. There's going to become a level of fear that's going to creep inside of you that's going to say, maybe I shouldn't do that. And that's something that all of us should have, living on this planet, knowing that we just showed up in it. We did not make it. So it's not for you to say what you want it to be like and what you want to design it to be. When you had the opportunity to do such a thing, get your video game and do your video game the way that you wanted to do it. But this actual real life and this real world out here, you didn't make it. So stop trying to change the rules and trying to do what you think that you need to do to be able to have what it is that you think that you want it to be. That's something that is very dangerous because that's what keeps going on. And that is exactly what it is that I just read. That God wasn't good enough. They needed to make another God, a different God, and other gods and all these other gods. Because every time there's one of them, I think it's actually in this book where it talks about, or in the book of Jeremiah, where he talks about that you guys have more gods than you have cities in your town. And it's just like everyone is just all bent on trying to create something different, something else. And that's where I'm going to say it's not all humans have just created that there's some other forces out here that are going on that are really trying to force and make that happen. And that's what makes me want to dig into this Bible even more, knowing that you're trying everything you can to get me to get away from it. Everything that goes on out here is trying to get me to get away from this Bible. Everyone is trying to get me to get away from it. Everyone I speak to about it is trying to tell me that's stupid, that's pointless, that's worthless, don't run that is meaningless, don't worry about that. So that makes me want to get in even more. As opposed to the next person just says, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to it because, yeah, that is stupid. You think you tough. There's no human being that's tough on this planet compared to God. God has the power, and when you start really understanding this, you'll get the fear of God in you is the only thing that you should fear. Because you realize that the people that thought that they were tough, he would just, you're done instantly. Done instantly. He's like, I don't have time for that. Like, that let's move forward now. We just erased that from history, and now we're going to move forward now. And that's so crazy because that's in reality what's going to keep on happening and continue to happen until the day of Jesus comes again. Or if that even is. Don't let me say that because I'm still reading that concept of getting an understanding of what that actually means, because I think that what's being taught to us is, in my opinion, not correct. And I don't want to say on something that I don't 100% know yet. So I don't know the whole concept of Jesus coming back. All I know is I've read these books, and there's always a little bit of different information that I keep on catching each time that I read it, because I'm no longer listening to what anybody else has to say about it, that I'm just getting a good understanding of listening to what it is that I'm reading. But right here is a passage that I was asking and praying about I was like, God, give me something concrete that I can read out of here that's just straight up to me. There's no hidden messages that says that there's going to be a change, a shift happening in the future, that somebody is going to come to be able to make that change happen. Because I was questioning the whole concept of, there's religions on this planet that don't believe Jesus came. There's religions that believe that's blasphemy if you even speak of the name of Jesus. So I'm super fascinated about that, because I'm like, how did they get that thinking? How did they get that way? So I was starting to try to question that, and I started to say, okay, coming to a beginner's mind, just say, Jesus isn't real. Jesus is no God. Jesus is nothing. He's just a human. And let's read this book again to figure out what's actually going on here. To find the evidence, I'm going to say, to be able to recognize that, okay, that is something that is to come. And that is something that we're going to be able to experience in the future. And that happens here in the book of Jeremiah. This is just one that I've gotten a good, easy understanding. No hidden messages. No, there's this star and this thing and this wind, and no, just straight up what's about to happen. And you know, when you ask for things sometimes from God, especially when you're being as obedient as you possibly can to Him, especially when you're you all wrong, Oreo, get down. Especially when you're doing everything in your power to live by His commands and live by His laws, you start to get a little more intimate with Him, that no longer do you have to wait months, weeks, years to get the information that you're looking for. And especially when all you're doing is consuming yourself with reading His Word, you're gonna realize something about this life that I'm gonna tell you is you can't put words in it. And when I can't put words in it, it's something that's right here that I heard it on my drive home today, that I was just like, wow. And I just stopped it right there, and I had to take a screenshot of that Bible verse, and I was just like, okay, here we go. So in the book of Jeremiah, in the 31st chapter, no, hold on, let me double check that. Yep, in the 31st chapter, way at the end of it. This is a pretty long chapter right here. But it's something that I want to read. I'm going to read this whole thing the best I can. And hopefully the wind relaxes on me, because it's hot. It's a raging hot wind. But give me a second, because my dog might want to bark here in a second. And I want to make sure that everybody can hear this clearly. And this hot wind is slowing me down right now a little bit. But we should be fine. All right, the 27th verse, the 31st chapter. Get down. I know, he pushing them cows. He can do what he wants on his side of the fence. He good. No, you not. You stay in there. You stay down. Thank you, Shadow. Cow still didn't get up. Dog's all in his face, and he's still just sitting there. Man, it's that right there. I wish I could have like a 360 view at all times, everyone could see, because that right there is a concept of what I see, what people are doing today. You got something in your face telling you what the truth is, but yet you just have it in you, just laying down, eating all your snacks and your food, watching the TV, and just saying, I'm good to go. I don't care. I'm fine. I don't need to worry about that. And that cow, unfortunately, one day, something's going to happen that she's not even going to have a chance to move. It's just going to be over with so fast that she's just going to blink and be like, man, what just happened? And that's how fast it happens. But this is very interesting right here. Let me say it again. Book of Jeremiah, 31st chapter, 27th verse. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will plant the kingdoms of Israel and Judah with the offspring of people and of animals, just as I watched over them to uproot and tear down and to overthrow, destroy, and bring disaster. So I will watch over them to build and to plant, declares the Lord. In those days, people will no longer say, my parents have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. That's a interesting verse already right there. But it says instead, so that's that right there. I'm going to stop for a half a second. But that part right there, the parents have eaten sour grapes, and their children's teeth are set on edge. That's the hidden messages. I'm going to say that I was like, God, I need to be more clear about this, because the hidden messages are cool for someone who just really needs that. Some people in their minds, you need that. You need those puzzles. I love puzzles. I'm going to say, I'm not going to lie. I'm one of those people. But to be able to communicate some things to everyone else that doesn't like those puzzles, that doesn't like to sit down and just do Sudoku charts all day long and do IQ tests and math tests and do trigonometry tests all the time just because I'm a person that does that. That's one thing, reason I get fascinated with this book, because I can start memorizing and seeing the numbers. But that right there is something of saying there's going to become a time in the day that no longer is what your parents do gonna affect what your kids are gonna have to be a part of. Because there was a time that if your parents was doing wrong, like your whole family was just wiped out. And they took it to the kids, and they took it to the grandkids, and they took it to the wives, and they took it to everything. Because he's just saying that person was so corrupt that we already know that everything else is going to be corrupt. So right here he's making a change of saying no longer is just because if your parents are wicked, does not mean that you are going to be anywhere near of a part of anything with that. That you can do and be a part of whatever it is that you want to do and be a part of. That you no longer have to live by that. But because it says, instead, everyone will die for their own sin. Whoever eats sour grapes, their own teeth will be set on edge. So he just explains all that right there, clean as day for me to be able to very understand. No longer, because there was a time like that. previously, where I'm going to say in the first third. The second third, he's given us the information of what's the last third about to happen. There's just different sections in this book that I really come to pay attention to. And it's just fascinating. And it says, "The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel and with the people of Judah. It will not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors when I took them by my hand to lead them out of Egypt, because they broke my covenant, though I was a husband to them, declares the Lord. This is the covenant I will make with the people of Israel after that time, declares the Lord. I will put my law in their minds. I will write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. No longer will they teach their neighbor or say to one another, know the Lord, because they will all know me, from the least of them to the greatest, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their wickedness, and I will remember their sins no more." And that's the whole concept right there of who and what and why Jesus had to come. That's just straight up, because that's the whole part where he's going to forgive us for our wickedness. There's going to be a new covenant that's going to come, because the old covenant is old. It is just what it is. And I'm going to say that in a way of understanding that the more and more, because this is fascinating when you read this, because when you read it from the beginning, there's like a certain amount of people, and then we just keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Then we get to a certain point that we're at a level of how many people that we have, and now we need to be talked to differently. Because we're more spread out, we're more all around, we're more doing our own stuff, we're more in our own ways, and we're just evolving into doing more and more and being greater and greater. So we have to be spoken to in a different way. And then God already knows how we are, of how we don't listen and how we don't pay attention. So the greater and greater and the bigger and bigger and the more and more that we keep on populating and having, the more we know that no one's going to listen to each other. The way that, like I said, the middle section of this Bible with all the prophets that are coming to all the people, nobody's listening. Not nobody, but nobody's listening. Nobody is like, oh, I hear what you're saying, man. Let me come along with that. No one's doing that. But instead, everyone's just staying in their own ways, staying doing what they're doing, saying, hey, my daddy did it that way, so I'm going to do it this way. My mama did it like that, so I'm going to do it this way. Not knowing that what they're doing actually isn't the correct way of doing some things, that we need to change some stuff up. And that's where there's going to be a difference when Jesus comes, God comes, to be able to explain to us that no longer, because of what your ancestors or anybody was doing, are you going to have anything to deal with that. That was them. You are you. You are an individual. You are a single person. You are one of one. You no longer have to deal and worry about what those people have done. As long as you start to understand to get away from it. Grab you a Bible, read the commandments, listen to the commandments, listen to the simple laws that he puts in place with those commandments, understand those commandments, and have a good understanding of knowing who God is. And that's going to be able to break you away from everything that anybody else out there has done. That's going to make you get away and completely being able to be on a whole new different level of life, that you no longer are going to be judged based on what they did. And then at the same time, it goes into talking about you will be forgiven of their wickedness, and he will no longer remember your sins. And that's something that a lot of us should really, really be, I say, grateful for, but all appreciative for, just everything niceness for. But at the same time, we have to know why and what and how. We can't just, I believe in God and we're good to go. No, that's not what he says, and that's not what he states. But he does say that no longer is it going to be Jeremiah that comes in, it's going to speak to everyone. He said that no, at that time, everyone's going to have it. And that happens to us when Jesus passes away. That he passes away, and then we no longer worry about our sin anymore. He said, I got you. You don't need to give the blood of life anymore. The blood of life is complete. And then at the same time, the Holy Spirit comes upon all of us. And the Holy Spirit comes in upon all of us and every single one of us, that now we all have all this information in this book already inside of us. That now I don't need anyone to just come to me to try to give it to me, that I already have it. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, are saying anything about. They're saying that once you believe in Jesus, the Spirit will come upon you, and then this and then that. But in reality, it's already in us. It's already there from birth, regardless. It's already consumed inside of us because of Jesus. Not because I even believe in him, but because of, that's just what it is. And that's something that I think is an absolutely amazing thing. That once you know that and you have that and you understand that, then you're going to be able to have a difference of a life to live on this planet. Because there's a lot of us that are walking around thinking, oh, because I was grown in here and born in here and done this and been that and my parents this and my parents that this is just what it is. And it's like, no, you can break away from that, because God promises and gives us that. He says you no longer are stuck there. You can move forward now. You can do something better now. You can do something greater now. You can be your own person now. You don't need to worry about them. You can do your own thing. And that's why the whole concept of you leave your mother and father and you move off and you go and do something different now. And he explains that like right up front. I think that's like day one in the Bible. That you're moving away from them to pursue and start to do your thing that you need to do. Because, and then when you stay with them and you keep doing, say, some wrong things that you shouldn't be doing, you're hanging around the people that they're doing the wrong stuff that you shouldn't be doing, you're hanging around them, you're going to stay in that. You're not going to be able to get the clarity that you want, the peace that you're looking for, because you're staying in that. And the more you stay in that, the easier it is to stay in that. The more you're just living in absolute crazy amount of sin, just being disrespectful, being disobedient, just doing everything you can to be just completely 100% against God. You're praying to everything else. You're just doing everything out there to just be so ruthless. It's just going to be normal to you. It's going to be regular. It's just going to be whatever. It's not going to be anything that you're going to feel conflicted about. But in the beginning, you're going to feel very conflicted about some things. Because I like watching little baby children do some stuff where they're doing something and they're just like, no, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should say. You can watch it. It's like they don't even know English. They don't know language yet, but they're speaking to themselves in their brain already about something. Who knows what they're actually saying? But they're saying something to themselves. When they go to touch something, they're like, you watch them do stuff like that. That they already know what's right and what's wrong. They already know. They already have that deep inside of them. But when they go ahead and just do it anyways, and then they do it anyways again, and then they do it anyways again, it just becomes, oh, that's fine, that's normal. See, I did that and nothing happened. Like, see, God didn't kill me, I didn't die, I'm still here, so whatever, I can keep doing what I'm doing. And that's the whole concept of Adam and Eve in the garden. You're not gonna die, you'll be fine, you're just gonna know some more stuff. So it's like, in reality, doing something evil is you are gonna know some more stuff. And you're literally not gonna die instantly. You will at some point, but you're just it's just good to go. It's simple for you. It's no thinking anymore to just keep doing wrong stuff. But when you make that decision, or especially if you have someone come into you see that little baby kid trying to do it, and the parent comes in and says, don't do that. And you're like, okay, I thought I wasn't supposed to do that, so I'll go ahead and not do that. Now when you try and do that, or you try to do it behind somebody's back, you're gonna have this overwhelming sense of guilt behind you. And that's something that every single person on this planet has. That someone would say that the serial killers and all that, they don't have that, and I'm going to tell you that they do. That they do. They have regret. They have all of everything that's going on with that. They just decided in them that doing what they do is more powerful. It's better. It doesn't matter. That they could just push through it. And that's the chaos. That's how we're able to tell who you're going to be in the future based on what you're doing as a little baby child. If you're out there killing animals and you think that's easy, that's setting you up for absolute failure in the future, because you're doing something that is hard, that is extremely hard, that is just ridiculously hard. And then you're doing that, and then when you grow up, it's just, well, that's just normal. That's just whatever. Everything's fine with that. And it's very chaotic. But in the beginning, you did know that you weren't supposed to do something. We all have that in us. Get down. We all have that in us, and we have that from birth. We have that before we're even birth, of knowing what it is that we should do and we shouldn't do, where it is that we should go and where it is that we shouldn't go, what it is that we should pay attention to, what it is that we should pray to, what it is, all of that. We already have that in us. You don't need to call upon the name of Jesus to get that inside of you. You're already blessed with that from birth. And that's stated multiple times in my Bible, that there's a lot of people that are rearranging and changing what they want it to be. They want it to be a certain way, they want it to say a certain thing, and they're trying to make it say a certain thing, as opposed to just reading it for what it is and just saying what it is. The message isn't so awesome and pretty and wonderful and spectacular the way that we know that how people get views, how people are going to pay attention to it. But that's not actually helping anybody. That's destroying. And to come out here and actually be able to help somebody is what really truly does matter, and what God is looking for. He's not looking for a validation of likes and any of that. He's looking for you to be able to understand what it is that he's looking for from us. He's looking for us to do specific things. And then he says, I'll grant your wishes in a way. Not as no genie. He's going to give you a house and give you a car and give you this. No, he's going to give you the understanding on how to be able to do such a thing. But he's not just going to give you stuff like that. And it's something that we all should pay very close attention to, with what it is that we're doing and who it is that we're listening to. Because these chapters, when it goes to the prophets, especially in this book, it gets real sticky with what happens to the people that are following the say, wrong people. What happens to the people that are following the false teachers? They all fall when the false teacher is guiding them into that direction. And that's such a tragic to be a part of. not questioning, not pushing back, not actually doing the research and reading it for yourself, but just trying to listen to somebody and hear what they have to say and just go off of that and just be firm with that. That's why it's very interesting to preach and pray and talk straight off the book and not try to make up some extra stuff about it. Because when someone goes back and researches, they should say, oh, that is actually what it says right there. You read word for word what my Bible even says. You read word for word. It's straight. It's right there. We don't have to question. We have to challenge. I would always get confused with going to places because someone would preach a message and I'll go home and read those Bible verses and I'm just like, what's going on here? What's happening here? And that happens to me a lot. And I still do that a lot on watching pastors and ministers and preachers on YouTube. And I'm just like, what's going on here? You're saying that verse, but that verse and the context of everything is not what you're talking about. So that's we're getting into a level of confusion, trying to preach a message that is going to make somebody feel good. What's going to make somebody feel good is giving them the real truth, the honesty. That is what's going to make people feel good. And with that, because I got to head out of here, I'm running out of time. I got some things to do today. That's why it's hard. Video stuff is complicated with this light stuff. But I just want to say thank you for an absolutely amazing things for me to be able to continue to keep doing each day. Amazing things for me to be able to keep on witnessing each day. Amazing things like this right here that I just want to show you that I want to show y'all real quick that I think is just absolutely amazing. Let me change this all around. Something that I think is just absolutely amazing. That there's just a little guy right here. He just came walking on over and I just got to go over there and say what's up to him as well. But it's just stuff like this that is just the coolest of the coolest to see. And it's things like this that just really, really make me feel very, very blessed being able to be in this world and be able to have this life. And then very, very blessed today of realizing what it is that I know I should be working upon and what it is that I know that I should be doing more of and what it is that's going to be able to Oreo down. What it is that's going to be able to bring me that peace that I'm actually looking for. And that peace that I'm looking for is something that is available for all of us to be able to have. It's not just for one or two people anymore. It's for everyone. Everyone is able to understand and be able to live by and be able to have God with them. It's for everyone to be able to do what they do to make sure that everything that's going on for you is going to be able to work out for you. That I don't know what it is, people, that there's something that is just absolutely fantastic about this life. That once you really just dial in and get a better understanding and realizing that God is here to help us, not here to try to slow us down. God is here to bless us and not trying to destroy us. That you're going to have a completely different experience of life on this planet. That's something that I would want everyone to have. The real truth, the real understanding of how to be able to communicate and be able to speak to God. Not the fakeness. God's going to get you a new car. He's going to buy you a new house. He's going to get you a wife. He's going to do this for you. No. The devil will do that for you to make you feel good short term for a little bit, to put you further and further into a jam. The devil will do that for sure. And that's not what God is all about. God is all about bringing you inside, in you, the understanding, in you, the peace, in you, the relaxation. He's here to bring inside of you the joy. He's going to bring that inside of you. You don't need it on an external thing. Because the devil is all about the external things out here. God is all about inside of us. Oh my goodness, thank you.